What is hunger? It is the manifestation of dissatisfaction. That's hunger. It is when dissatisfaction is manifested. It comes with um, a sensation that puts you in that place where your craving becomes loud. You just want this. Because everywhere there's hunger, there's a need for dissatisfaction. The most difficult person to attempt to help is the one who is not hungry. You want to know what shame looks like. Attempt to help somebody who needs it but doesn't know he needs it. That's the problem. Many people are just not hungry. They've plastered them in a way that they just don't, that seed to deliver, that seed, that ability to deliver, to not be neutral through life, to not go through life as one who is merely existing, to be concerned when things are not the way they should be. That dissatisfaction, it's a seed. Not everyone has it. That internal seed that puts you in that space where you keep having a restlessness. Sometimes what you have is not peace, it's complacency. We mistake the boat. We confuse the boat. Say, I just enjoy peace. No, you are in trouble. Because with the way your life is going, you ought not to have peace. This is not the kind of peace that God promised. There is the natural discontentment that shows in the person's life that the person will be great. It ought to be there as a basic requirement. It's supposed to be a basic observation. If you notice that this is happening in your life, that there's just that hunger, that panting, something telling you there can be more, I can innovate, I can do all those things, there's no problem. You are in the right space. If you don't have that in there, that's when you should be afraid. That's when you should be afraid. Hunger is the same thing as, hunger is even more powerful than privilege. It is hunger that puts the beggar on horseback and put the prince on the floor. The lack of it put the prince on the floor, on the ground, and walks. And if you understand the way life works, you will never cry because you were born without silver spoon. If you have that sense, that was what Isaac gave Esau now. He said, when you become discontented, you will break his yoke. There's no yoke a discontented man cannot break. There's no yoke. There's no yoke. Everyone standing in front of me, including myself, we have just one life. Unfortunately, not everyone really gets to understand that or maximize that one life. And sometimes you meet people, it looks like, it's pretty late. Sometimes you meet them, it looks like, all right, pretty early. Maybe they are not even ready yet. So hardly do you meet people and you say, okay, this is quite on time. So sometimes either late, a bit late, or a bit too early, So, but if you are here at this point, you're on time. And that's what I want you to understand, so you can maximize these opportunities. The kind of conversations we have here are not the kind that really get to go out on the internet space in the first place. And I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes, have you heard people say things like, please just share these things and just put these things out there. Okay, all right, just get a moment for me, please. And all that. It doesn't work like that. I think I've said that only a fool shares what he knows publicly all the time. Then number two, it is not everyone who needs it that wants it. You must understand that. And that's one of the codes of wisdom. People need wisdom. They need knowledge. They need to be helped through life. But the kind of wisdom, the kind of understanding that bets people into destiny really is not such that should be thrown on the street. And that's why I intentionally put this meeting for this time. And you being here now is you saying, you know what, I know what my life is about and I'm ready for it. So I'm excited, really. And I think we might be able to push on some things. So I said something when the video was sent out this morning. There's something that comes first, even before talent, giftings, and privileges that people get out of life. Before your connection, before who knows who, before you talk about how gifted the person is, how talented, how whatever it is the person is, there's a factor. And so what I do basically is that I'm not just a pastor or an apostle, as you have it. I'm a coach. I run different organizations, so I'm a scout. What that means is that I'm always looking for people with potentials, people who have the ability, not necessarily perfection. All right. I think it is unfair to expect perfection from anybody. I don't think it's fair because the one who is expecting it doesn't have it also. But there's a trait. There's this thing I'm always looking for when I'm talking with people, either they are heads of any organization I'm running, or they are aspiring to become one, or they are trying to work with me, or I see them working, or I just see them randomly online. Regardless of the gifting, there's something that if I look at the person and this thing is missing, I know that the person may have a moment. People have moments. And that moment where everything looks like it's just bubbling. But not everyone is really durable to have the basic character traits to carry them beyond those moments. You see, because life will not really give you the opportunity to have moments. But there's something that if you have, take this as a mentorship counsel from me. You don't really have to start anything perfectly. Just start. Yes, see. You don't have to start. Perfection will catch up later. In fact, if you are really going to go far, you don't need perfection. You need improvement. Just start. Sometimes people do things and they are doing this. What this thing that you're doing is bad. Can't you see it? So I tell people who work with me like this: if you can see an example of what is excellent around you, you have no excuse for doing anything wrongly. Because your hunger also will manifest in your ability to learn and replicate what is working. So start. Okay? Then start learning. Start finding people who are doing it better. If you start anything and you just always want to sink it in, that's the best around, that's this and that, you have low self-esteem issues. People who are going to change their world don't have that time bragging about being the best at anything. When you are, it doesn't matter how bad your situation is right now. It doesn't matter how broke you are. It doesn't matter how bad things are. It doesn't matter even the mistakes you are making. It doesn't matter whether things are fine or not fine. It doesn't matter whether you are accepted or rejected. It doesn't matter whether, I don't care whatever it is. The moment I see this trait in a person, I know this person will get it. I've seen anointed people who lack that trait. They'll be anointed but small. I've seen gifted people who lack that trait. They are gifted small people. I've seen people who are connected who lacks that trait. The connection won't work for them. Because if anybody is going to pull your hands through life, then there must be I can't pull your hand up and still help you stand. You've got to be able to stand. It's not everyone that can respond to lifting. There are people that lifting won't do anything for them. Let me give you an instance. I know some of you attended very good secondary school. I attended one of the best in town where I grew up to. There's this thing that happens in exam hall where people, maybe someone, a friend or someone in class, just randomly says, please, number 2, number 3. All right, and you tell the person the answer is so and so and so. Let's look for something. Say maybe Basido my cities, Asco my cities. Say spell it. then you know that your own issue is not ignorance, forgetfulness. It's foundational problem. We have to go back to get it spellings right. So what I'm saying is that although what I've just said now ought to be what to break this person through, at least in respect to what we are doing now, but yet it is not sufficient to cure the person's problem. So there are people that you can't help because they lack that one thing. That even if they have the opportunity, it won't work. That's just the fact. And that thing is what I want us to look at. One time I saw, I think just on YouTube, and saw one very amazing guy singing a particular song I love, sang that song well. I mean, he sang the song better than the fellow who sang the song. I mean, I played the song, I enjoyed everything. I didn't know when I just said, but this guy is not really going to go find music. Let me ask you, do you know about record labels? Record labels who sign musicians and all that. When they want to sign artists, what do you think they are looking for? Giftings, the ability to sing. See, get this straight, and let this help you. Talent is not scarce. Gifted people are not difficult to find. If what you are banking on in life is gift and talent, your kind is not scarce. If you see record labels that want to sign singers, they are looking for something. Somebody that when they give this person a push, he can continue from there. That's what they are looking for. So when we see that ability to pursue, then we now check. Because this fellow can be gifted and yet sleeping morning, afternoon, and night. So they check the fellow's ability to deliver, to make profit. And you must understand this, that even God is profit-oriented. There are Christians, and religion will destroy many people. There are Christians who are, I call them the elder brother Christians. They hate the fact that the younger brother who fell away was brought back and celebrated. That guy who had the audacity to go that length will also have the audacity to do the right things better than the one who is not trying at all. You must understand that. And that's the mistake. Sometimes we are trying to bribe God with the fact that we have a clean sheet. We forget that the one that we are trying to bribe is the purest of the pure. I don't know if you understand that. That God, you see, by own, you must understand this. Both God and the devil are interested in people who have the ability to bring back returns. There is the profit aspect of the kingdom. Anyways, that's that on that subject. So not, I mean, look at it. If you look at, there's a text, and that text blessed me so much. Daniel chapter number 1. When they brought out the Israel exile from their own land, brought them to Babylon. I mean, look at the requirements that the palace, the office of the king in Babylon had on ground. They talk about children who are of the royal seed. All right. Why is that? Because they don't want to start from the foundation for anybody. They need a minimal level of exposure. Then those who have the ability to learn, who can learn the language of the Chaldeans, who can learn science and learn all those things. But they have to be royal blood. Because there's a culture. There is what is required. The number of those they found that day, we didn't know. But at least we know Daniel, we know Shadrach, we know Meshach, and we know Abednego, Belshazzar as they call them. There are people that, unfortunately, both God and the devil can't use. They don't, that seed to deliver, that seed, that ability to deliver to not be neutral through life, to not go through life as one who is merely existing, to be concerned when things are not the way they should be. That dissatisfaction, it's a seed. Not everyone has it. That internal seed that puts you in that space where you keep having a restlessness. Sometimes what you have is not peace, it's complacency. We mistake the boat. We confuse the boat. Say, I just enjoy peace. No, you are in trouble. Because with the way your life is going, you ought not to have peace. This is not the kind of peace that God promised. There is the natural discontentment that shows in the person's life that the person will be great. It ought to be there as a basic requirement. It's supposed to be a basic observation. If you notice that this is happening in your life, that there's just that hunger, that panting, something telling you there can be more, I can innovate, I can do all those things, there's no problem. You are in the right space. If you don't have that in there, that's when you should be afraid. That's when you should be afraid. So you in dealing with people, you want to look for people who have that hunger. Yes. How do you know a person is hungry? They keep opening pots. They are checking. They are looking, what can I cook? Many Christians don't open pots. They are not hungry. Religion has messed up many people. You know, this concept that we have about God, that when your time comes, you will shine. As what? And, you know, this life is a one-way ticket. It's one way ticket. So, and every time you celebrate a birthday, you can't celebrate it twice. It's just once. And that one is gone. That's the only experience you will have of that age. It's just gone. So there are Christians, there are people that are not investable. You look at the parable of the talent. Jesus was illustrating the ability of God's children to make profit. The one that they gave that they gave 5 went to trade with it, came back with 10. Same as the one that was given 3, same as the one that was given 2. The one that was given 1 buried it. He buried it and said, I know that my master is a wicked person. He's trying to reap where it is. And that's the problem. I'm going somewhere. That's the problem with many Christians, with many of us. That hunger is not there. And you see, I was given an illustration in one of the private classes I had. You should get it. I think it's on the digital library, Femi Lazarus digital library. The message titled, Are You Really Behind? Look at a relay race, for instance. You see hundreds of people. They put them in one space. They're about to start running. It doesn't matter who is in front. It doesn't matter who is behind. Everybody will be tired when they are tired. The race is too long for the space to be an advantage to anybody. And that's the way life is. There are people that I think I shared a story. I remember one time somebody close to me had the results and I didn't like the result well on campus. And I just said on his behalf that no, we need to contest this result. This is not right. Something must be wrong. And he said, no, I know my capacity. And said this. I shook my head. I said, there's problem here. All right. I remember also when I went to serve. I was posted first and foremost to a college of health. Somewhere in Ondo State, Akure. All right, posted to a college of health. And there was this girl that I met there. Also, coppers. You just finished your camp and now you're going to your PPA. And then the provost just gave me a paper and said I should write out the list of courses I could take. And I wrote out the list of courses, and the girl beside me studied biochemistry. To my amazement, that girl went on her knees and began to beg and said, I don't mind being a cleaner here. that I managed to graduate. I struggled to graduate. So please, I can clean all the tables, I can wash the toilet, I can do all that. And that's the reason why, particularly those of you who are in a relationship, talk. The Bible gave us the expo. The only way the foolishness of a person can be concealed is if the person is quiet. If a foolish person keeps quiet, you think he's wise. So the way to unravel foolishness or wisdom is to get people to talk. When people talk, their level is exposed. If you want to be a global figure, you have that drive within you. Now you are doing life with somebody who is very handsome or fine, but the person is always responding to the force of gravity. They are too heavy for flight. You won't go anywhere. You are thinking forward, the fellow is thinking backward. There's no compatibility in sense. That's the problem. Anyways, but since you say God said that's your spouse, who can argue with the Lord? That's the problem. And that's where Christians, some a young one all about it. The fellow is entering what will kill him. He said, God said. He said, God said. That person that you are saying God said now, if that person is not fine, will God say? If that person is not fine, let's say that today now, something happened, a fire incident, the person's face got burnt. Suddenly God will change the mind. The God who checks beauty and doesn't check brain is not my God. It's religion. I think Uncle Pez here shared a story. He must have forgotten the story, but I remind him. They went for, was it camp meeting or what's the meeting? Where you guys were on campus. It was a retreat. Then somebody began to prophesy. Somebody began to prophesy and start assigning spouses and say, nobody marries anyhow like a Christian. Honestly. Begins to assign spouse. Jesus Christ. Said the brother that was prophesying had a sister there that he liked. And everyone that stood there as competitor to get that sister, he reassigned and reallocated someone else. And said, you, Maori Jailikai, that's your wife. That's prophecy is not epilepsy. Okay? You, this one, and then he apportioned everybody their own corner. And now looked at him and said, Alagba, sister, the boy is here now. You didn't, is the Lord not speaking? The sister, is she not going to marry? I said, the Lord has use for her. Smart guy. Bad guy. Clock it. Bad guy. The Lord, that's the way many people's life has been made miserable. People, like I said the last time I had this session with you, I believe that when Africa took the baton of religion, we went backwards. Spirituality and religion, they are not the same thing. Until you separate it, you will not go forward. You've got, see, let me describe what religion is. When Adam fell, he was stripped of the glory. He had to take fig leaves to cover himself. That is man orchestrated method or idea to approach God. It's organized, but it withers. It is the glory that fades. It's man's idea, it's not God's idea. And the problem with those things is that they can cage you for life and destroy you for life. It can shape the way you see life. It can shape your perception. It can shape everything about your life and damage everything. In fact, there are certain things you ought to become that you may not become because of your religious inclinations. And religion really, religion is brutal. I've seen people that were sick and simple blood transfusion will save them. But there's a religious belief that they are not to have blood transfusion. And they will die in the process. That kind of ideology that welcomes people's death prematurely and forgets that every intervention in medicine and science was actually from the wisdom given by God. The reason why God rested because he's giving man brain to think. Yeah? And that doesn't mean we don't consult God on matters as touching our lives. But these things have damaged people's lives as it has damaged what people can become. Look at this illustration. And while we're having this conversation, please do well to like, and if you have not subscribed to this YouTube channel, you should. If I see that we have a generation of people who are very not just spiritual but cerebral, who are trying to who have that genuine desire to understand their way out of life and to learn, we can actually yes, there's nothing stopping me from making the sacrifice to have this probably weekly. What is hunger? It is the manifestation of dissatisfaction. That's hunger. It is when dissatisfaction is manifested. It comes with a sensation that puts you in that place where your craving becomes loud. You just want this. Because everywhere there's hunger, there's a need for dissatisfaction. The most difficult person to attempt to help is the one who is not hungry. You want to know what shame look like. Attempt to help somebody who needs it but doesn't know he needs it. That's the problem. Many people are just not hungry. They've plastered them in a way that they just... I told you one time about someone I know that I feel that religion damaged the person's life. Somebody prophesied to the person and told the person that God said he should not go for his NYC. If you're not in Nigeria, NYC is when you're done with your university, you serve, the nation for a year, then you get a discharge certificate, which will be relevant in many things you want to do, really. And then he said, God said that the person who is going to take you abroad, you think abroad is heaven? That somebody is coming that will take you abroad. The person will walk into your house and hold you by the hand and take you abroad. That's how the brother dropped out of school. In fact, prophecies like this is one of the reasons why we have emergency prophets. I believe that if we keep having people who could not have succeeded at any other thing except they go into ministry, Africa cannot change. And I'm not going to say that politely. I'm not going to say that. Because if we have people who are only serving God because they are not employed or don't have the ability to produce in any other area, then there will be problem. They will enter into it for their own gainful, greedy reasons, exploit God's people. And as a coach, you can't even give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. All right. So that hunger, that thing right there. I don't care who your dad is, whether he's, I don't care where he works, what school you attend. Go and check some of the most powerful people and some of the most successful people. Some of them rose through the ashes. I was sharing the story of a man who was one time one of the director of First Bank. He finished in Lagos State University, I think Lagos State University. It was those times that if you finish as the best in your faculty in year one, you have scholarship for year two, and just like that. So he was an orphan, if I remember the story. He said he had to be cutting wood to sell. That was how he was able to pay for his exam to get into school. So all the money he had was the money into part one. Now he knew that if he should fail in part one, then he would have to drop out of school because there's no money for part two. So the only way he could remain in school was for him to beat every other person in the class and become the best in that faculty. So when he finished and then became successful, they asked him, what even motivated you when you were in school? He said, poverty. The same poverty that people are using as excuse for stealing. The same poverty that people are using as excuse for wasting their lives to doing irrelevant things, watching, streaming every day, things that has nothing to add to your destiny, is the same thing that someone else used as a stepping stone into greatness. There comes that time in your life that you know it will cost to you. Nobody's coming to help me. And like I said, sometimes I don't waste my time. People say mentor me and all that. The problem many people have is that you have too many options. If you fail today, there are people that will carry you. That's your problem. If you crash now, you have too many people who are excited. So they will just help you. But those of you who are like me, that must not crash. If you are like that, you know where you are coming from. You can't afford to go back with excuses. If you now still don't have hunger at that sense of dissatisfaction with where you are, to keep panting and pushing to break into new space, new understanding, new dynamics, then you are to be pitied. In fact, even in ministry, I understand this well. The quality of a person has a lot of role, has its own, as the role it plays in determining a person's outcome. Not even the quality of the person's teacher, not the quality of the person's exposure, not the quality of the knowledge at your disposal. We are talking about the quality of your person, who you are as a person, your natural state as a person. Whether you are somebody who is naturally satisfied or who is always panting for more. There are people who would have still, I'm not saying, when it comes to success in life, they would have still succeeded as an unbeliever. There are people like that. I'm not saying, please don't quote me out of context. All right? Because of their nature. If there are, I could call names. I could call names. And you look at it and say, okay, this is true actually. Sometimes what you need is not trying to jump from one profession to another. In fact, if you have not succeeded at a thing and you leave that thing for another thing, the chance of not succeeding is very high because you have not mastered how to make things work. What you are learning is how to escape. It's one of the things I've had to tell myself. You don't leave a place because what you are doing is not working. And I'm not saying you should kill yourself there. I'm just saying that make things work. I remember I was somewhere to preach, and this is an intellectual conversation. So one of my boys was with me, and he was supposed to stay with me overnight. And I was asking him questions. The way he was talking, I said to him, go and get another room. If you stay with me overnight reasoning like this, by tomorrow I would have been lesser than what I came with. And why did I say that? Someone say, Apostle, that would have been an opportunity for you to impact him. There was not even a common ground to even impact him. Sometimes you need rejection to know that you have a problem. Let's start with that. Sometimes you need to be walked out of rooms to, okay, now it occurs. Some people need a rude shocks. Because this same person, when that happened, he wept that day, but the version of him I have now, in fact, if I mention his name, you will not believe. So there are people that just putting pen and paper in front of them will not change their. You know when the battery of a car is dead, you need to jumpstart it. Sometimes that's what disappointment looks like. It jumpstarts a person to reality, shakes you and tells you, like you believe maybe you are one-eyed man, the city of the blind. you're a guy who doesn't even know his right from his left, but you're among girls that are desperate. Like I said, many Christian girls don't know what a successful guy looks like. So they just date anybody. And for the first time in your life, the girl you believe is dying for you just give you no. Just say, sister, whatever. Yes and no, you're not my type. Sometimes, in fact, one time, in fact, this one happened right in front of me. A guy was asking a girl out. And I mean, I knew the guy, so I knew the guy was kind of not a smart guy. And the girl looked at the guy. When the guy was done talking, the girl placed her hand on his shoulder, on the guy's shoulder. And she was looking into his eyes and said, go and think about it again. The guy was almost saying, yes, mommy, yes, I've got to think about it. That's somebody's love of my life. It's true. Religious people don't like intellectual conversations. Once you bring up intellectual conversation with the religious people, they say it's pride. Because religion helps us to hide. If something has gone wrong because you didn't do something right, all you have to do is to say it's the devil. If the devil has a way to sue Christians, many people will be sued for defamation. You've done something, okay, this is, say it's the devil. So I've observed that there are people you can work with because when you push them a bit, they know how to continue from there. And I want to say this to you. If everyone in your circle are not doing well, change that cycle. Yes. You heard me. Change it. Yes. I told you the way Apostle Selman said it. Say if you have 4 fools as friends, say you didn't count well, you are 5. That was a big slap. If everyone in your circle are not doing well, they are always change that circle. If nobody is inspiring you, because the sociologist will say that we are a product of nature and nurture. Our environment shapes us. What we see, what influences our minds, the quality of conversations we hear. I told you last time I was here that there are friends I have. I just want us to drive around together. Don't tell me anything. Just do your stuff. The quality of conversations they are having, the things they are saying, is shifting my own paradigm. It's bringing me to an understanding that there's more. If every time you have friends, you're always the best in that circle, something is wrong. Maybe with your esteem. And you want to check it. You want to check it. In fact, I tell you this. Take this as a mentorship counsel from me. You don't really have to start anything perfectly. Just start. Yes, see. You don't have to start. Perfection will catch up later. In fact, if you are really going to go far, you don't need perfection. You need improvement. Just start. Sometimes people do things and they are doing this. What this thing that you're doing is bad. Can't you see it? So I tell people who work with me like this: if you can see an example of what is excellent around you, you have no excuse for doing anything wrongly. Because your hunger also will manifest in your ability to learn and replicate what is working. So start. Okay? Then start learning. Start finding people who are doing it better. If you start anything and you just always want to sink it in, that's the best around, that's this and that, you have low self-esteem issues. People who are going to change their world don't have that time bragging about being the best at anything. When you are busy celebrating them in this level, they're already moving. They're already thinking of something else. They're already changing stance. They're already all these things. We have this delusion of this sense of grandiosity, that affects the things that we do. The sense of grandiosity. We just feel like the next best thing after jollof rice. Oh, it's the fastest growing church in Ibadan. Is the most this, most that. Will you please stop that? Because eventually, you are just in a tiny space in the earth. And there's so much more that can be done. But sometimes we sing our own songs too early. That's the problem. We sing our own songs too early. We sing our own songs too early. So you talk to people. The one who is the captain of 10 is so because he's comfortable with 10. The one who is the captain of 100 is so because he's comfortable with 100. The one who is the captain of thousands is so because he's comfortable with thousands. Jesus gave the blueprint. Everyone that seeketh, find it. That's a powerful one. It means, okay, let me give you this illustration. Let me tell you a story. There was a time, years ago, in Ife, where like 6 in the room that night, staying off campus. Usually, so I was there like the father of the house, I'm the one who always makes sure that there's something to eat. And for some reasons that night, there was no money, there was no food stuff, there was nothing. We had a woman to the right called Mama Da who sells provision. We're owing her. We're owing her. We've bought spag, we didn't pay. We've bought oil, we didn't pay. We've bought Maggi, we didn't pay. There's another woman to the left called Mommy Favor. That one too, we're owing her. That one sells fish and tomato. If you take credit from Mama Da, you go and balance it, Mommy Favor, say I'll pay you later. So we're owing the both of them. Shame will not allow us to go and take credit on credit. Amazingly, there was not even a sachet of pure water in the house. 6 able-bodied guy, no food that night. So I stood up. Having tried everything within my capacity, I said, tonight we will go to bed without food. If a night like this ever repeats itself in your life, it's your choice. Good night, guys. As far as I'm concerned, that's the last time that ever happened. And I also noticed, even at that time, that there are people that, even if everybody is dying, they are not moved. Their life is me for myself. There's no leadership seed in them. They think they are stingy. No, they are not leaders. They don't fend for, they don't care for. Even if people are dying and they will rather hide it. One time I had somebody that was staying with me. We're all broke. So I needed to go buy, because he said he doesn't have money. I needed to go buy something. And I cited him. When a car is going in that direction and he was coming, the car just flashed on his face. He was eating something. Later I found it was hot potatoes that they put pepper. He was eating it. So as he saw that I was the one coming close to him, he put it inside his pocket. Bad guy. And the thing was burning his leg. As he was talking to me, was burning his leg. I stood there and wasted his time. I was saying in my mind, today you hear rubbish. That's not leadership. It's not. It's people think it's stinginess. It's lack of leadership. That it still talks a lot about the quality of a person, the quality of your person. If we're going to add anything to you, it was that quality of your person. That's the constant. That's the constant. And if something is wrong with that quality, a lot will be wrong in life. So I've just been thinking about it. I don't care whether you are indebted now, whether you are owing someone, you don't even have house rent, you don't have enough food stuff, you've not even been eating well, maybe things are not so fine. But if you are that person who is always looking for better ways to do things, there's that sense of dissatisfaction within you, that sense of hunger. There is that sense of you will break through. So listen, guys, sometimes people say, please come and mentor me, come and teach me this, come and teach me. Listen to what I'm saying. Some people think that maybe those things sound inspiring. If you are asking questions about things that are observable, there's no smartness in that. There are questions people are asking that the answer to this thing can be observed. And the answers can be observed. They are around you. That's how you know people that will go very far. They are observant. Because they are hungry. Hearing with your ears is one channel of learning. Seeing with your eyes is another channel of learning. There are people that until they see and hear, they can't learn. It is through observation that you can pick what a person is not even intending to tell you. Observation is the highest form of learning, the highest way to learn. There are questions people ask a mentor, and the person may not even be interested. But as you learn to observe, you pick it. I was particularly looking for people, because listen, that's what people don't understand, who have gone through that phase that I was and came out. They have answers to my questions. It's not everybody who can preach well that have answers to your questions. You must be able to tell the difference. You must have people who inspire you, and when you have such people, don't do it religiously. I don't have any right to inspire you if I'm not doing much in life. Yes. Don't live a biased life that you have to mention a person because the person is your pastor. No. I may love you, and yet you are not inspiring me. You must be able to tell the difference. Like I said, many of our biggest shifts begins when we break free from religious shackles, and stuff like that. So I love your contributions and your conversations. So you want to also put in the comment sections, what are the things you do daily towards fulfilling your potentials? Daily. I'm not saying the things you do monthly. What are the things you do? Someone said, this is a question. TJ, hold on with the video. Let me just answer some of these questions. So what do you read during your 3 hours or 4 hours? So I'm just going to give you, so in Abuja, I have 3 offices, 1 in church, then 2 elsewhere. All right. So, but there's a particular office where all the books I have there are about nation building, leadership, management, which also, right. And yeah, so I do a lot around that. Yeah. Yes. Let me just leave it at that. So yeah. And I read a lot of biographies, just have to say. My team, they are looking for this particular video. So what I said in that video, it was taught when I taught Are You Really Behind? I gave illustration about children who don't have access to impartations, who don't have access to all the, but they will still meet those people who have access to it somewhere in future at the same table. Because hunger is the same thing as, hunger is even more powerful than privilege. It is hunger that puts the beggar on horseback and put the prince on the floor. The lack of it put the prince on the floor, on the ground, and walks. And if you understand the way life works, you will never cry because you were born without silver spoon. If you have that sense, that was what Isaac gave Esau now. He said, when you become discontented, you will break his yoke. There's no yoke a discontented man cannot break. There's no yoke. There's no yoke. And you must understand that that quality of being hungry doesn't mean you are not grateful. Yes, you are grateful, but you just know that there's more. That doesn't mean people are not celebrating you. They are celebrating you, but you've moved on. Something keeps telling you that there is more. A lot more can happen. It is not every relationship that is sustained through loyalty. There are relationships that will not be sustained if you don't grow. This person loves you, wants to be loyal, but you are not growing. Two can't work together because they are not agreeing. You must understand that, please. That those who have better opportunities than you in life now have more hunger. That's it. That's a serious one. Things may not be perfect now. Things may not be the way you want them to be. But have that mindset that is always in search for better ways to get things done. That mindset that believes things can be better and will not rest till it becomes better, that is ready to pursue, till things take shape that they should take. A day at a time, a decision at a time. And definitely you might be joining this conversation from anywhere, sitting in one room apartment, squatting with somebody, managing your life, maybe on the bus, maybe it's struggling to get something done. But if you nurse that baby called hunger, one day you will sit on the same platform with your mentors and they will feel so privileged to have you. That's the way life works. Eventually, that thing called hunger leverages all of us. There are people I meet today that I've met before. They opened their doors. But today they opened it. Not because I kept knocking. I left to grow. Sometimes get out and grow, then come back. Just leave. Focus on yourself. Grow, then come back. Failure is an orphan. Everyone wants to be around those who are doing well.